Keep yourself in the loop of everything football on the Golden State Media Concepts Football Podcast. The latest news on and off the field, be it college football, Big Ten, SEC, Big 12, Pac-12, ACC to the NFL. We've got you covered. Listen to the Golden State Media Concepts Football Podcast.
What's up, everybody? You are tuned in to the GSMC Football Podcast on the GSMC Podcast Network. I am your host, DJ Youngs, back again. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. This is a podcast, so as I always say, I know you can listen to this anytime, any place, anywhere, and I appreciate it. So I like to cover all the salutations just to make you feel comfortable. Greetings, everybody. Rundown of the show today. We are going to do something a little different. Just a tad. As always, I'm going to start with my new news. Hey, if you get that reference, extra points. But new news. And then what I'm going to do is for my next two segments is going to be all one. It's still going to be the break in between. But this is the catch. I'm doing the tops, the rankings of positions. And we're on DBs, right? So, of course, I combine safeties and cornerbacks. But the problem with that was I then could not do just 10 as I originally planned, right? So I had to do 20. So what we're going to do is you're going to catch the first 10 in the second segment and then the top 10 in the third segment. And then from there we're going to go over to the hot topics where I'm really just wrapping up what we started in the last episode anyway. So still going to be a good episode, going to be information, but I guess you could see this as a little bit of the DB's episode since they get to have two segments. No one else got to have two whole segments in one episode. And again, I'm really only doing it instead of splitting it up like I did with the quarterbacks and receivers between episodes because I originally had it planned out to only be one episode. Okay? I have something else planned for the next episode. So, being that I did all that I did for that, you guys get to have two segments. So if you are in love with defense or a former DB, then you'll be excited to have that conversation. But getting into the new news. All right. Starting off from the top, a jury found former police officer Derek Chauvin guilty of second-degree murder, third-degree murder, and second-degree manslaughter. Now, why am I discussing this or starting off the show with this? For one, it's definitely a big thing nationally, of course, but it definitely affected the sports world. You had it start some big movements, especially in basketball, as we saw what they did. To demonstrate how they felt about that situation. Of course, the NFL did plenty. They were already kind of going through their own civil rights kind of movement, and that just added to, gasoline to that flame. But yeah, that came out as the world watched. Statements were released by athletes, by teams. The NFL released their official statement. One team that apparently, kind of got in the news on the nastier side of it was the Las Vegas Raiders, as they put out a post that said, "I can breathe." A lot of people didn't take that the right way. Owner Mark Davis, though, did come out and say that was his tweet, his idea. He stood behind it because he took those words from George Floyd's brother in a press conference. And George Floyd's brother actually did come and, put out something to say he understood and he backed the Raiders up. So, again, that's something that was news in 1 second, not news anymore because, got corrected real fast. Still being big news in sports when the GM for the Dolphins, Chris Greer, he opened up for conversation before they got started with the pre-draft conference. He did touch on and give a little, speech, as he is one of the few African American GMs in the league. So, of course, like I said, the whole sports world in general talking about it, and that's kind of what was going on in NFL about it with it. My personal thoughts, really quickly, it's a sad situation. We hate that it happened in the first place. Mr. Floyd is no longer here on this earth to enjoy time with his friends, family, and daughter. So, of course, it's not too much to cheer about. I also think it's sad that this is something that everybody was worried about, that even though it was recorded, we had to tune in because we were nervous of outcomes, and we have to, people have to celebrate. A lot of people celebrated that, it came to this, that he was charged. I'm not happy about it either way, but I do always send heart, love, and prayer to George Floyd's family, of course. But yeah, moving on to the next thing. The NFL adopted some new rules and bylaws. Aren't you guys excited? Things change every year. Some rules we like, some rules we don't like. So just want to kind of brief you guys on what those new bylaws and rules are looking like that got adopted, voted on by the owners. So I'm going to start with the bylaw. So this is a approved 2021 bylaw summary. It was by the competition committee. They're the ones who proposed it. To amend Article 12, Section 12.4 of the Constitution and bylaws to require clubs to submit tryouts and visits to the league office throughout the entire year. However, such transaction will only be reported to clubs from the start of training camp through the conclusion of the Super Bowl, unless it's with restricted or unrestricted free agents. So, everything that happens during the season, all the way from the beginning to the very tip, to the very end, is being reported to the league as far as visits, okay? Now, the rules. Approved 2021 playing rules summary. Number 1, by competition committee, who proposed it, to amend Rule 16 to eliminate overtime in the preseason. I mean, yeah, I don't know whose idea that was anyway. I guess if you want to get the real game feel, but as far as it counting toward anything, it literally counts towards nothing. Matter of fact, I don't even know if there's stats out there on win-loss record for preseason. You see them for preseason, you see them for regular season. I mean, you see them for postseason, you see them for regular season. Don't think they're ever there for preseason. So, good. By number 2, by competition committee as well, to amend Rule 6, Section 1, Article 3 for 1 year only, so they want to try it out, to establish a maximum number of players in the setup zone. All right. Next one, by competition committee, again, coaches, subcommittee, and the Baltimore football team, to amend Rule 15, Section 3, Article 9, and Rule... I know you guys don't have the book. I'm just telling you where you can find it if you do want to look it up, okay? Article 9 and Rule 19, Section 2, to permit the replay official and designated member of the officiating department to provide certain objective information to the on-field officials, okay? So that's the replay official who's not usually on the field. He's definitely, I guess you can call him up top in the box, can see stuff a little different. But yeah, that referee, the replay referee, and the designated member of the officiating department, okay, the office, to provide certain objective information to the on-field. So they can, basically tell them if there's something that we see, those times that you see something on TV and it get replayed and, that was the end of it, but even though, you saw something and they can't take it back now, they can. All right. Next up, this one was put in by Chicago, okay, to amend Rule 11, Section 3, Article 3 to ensure the enforcement of all attempted penalties committed by either team during successive try attempts. Okay, and again, the difference between what I'm saying by competition committee and by, places, Baltimore, Chicago. So there's, everybody has their chance to put in things that they want to amend. Competition committee is, usually the general one on what they believe will make the game better. And then you hear, individual teams that may put stuff in. Okay. Next, by the Los Angeles Rams to amend Rule 8, Section 1, Article 2 to add a loss of downs for a second forward pass from behind the line of scrimmage and for a pass thrown after the ball returns behind the line. Okay, so that one's a little tricky because I'm not really sure if they mean like a double sweep or even with the pass thrown after the ball returns behind the line. Like, I mean, no more flea flickers. What we got going on here? I don't see a problem with that. But guess we'll see how it plays out if anybody gets a flag for it or not. And then I think the most exciting one that most people are talking about is by the Kansas City Chiefs, which no surprise there, to amend Rule 5, Section 1, Article 2 to extend jersey number options to specific positions. Those specific positions are running back, receiver, tight end, linebacker, and DB are now allowed to wear single-digit uniforms. Okay, running backs could be in the backfield with number 2. Linebackers might have number 1 on. It's definitely going to be a change. Even the tight end being on the line, no more blending in with the big numbers of the linemen. It's not going to be any confusion on who you are, Mr. Number 5. Okay, definitely going to see a lot of defensive linebackers taking advantage of that. I know DBs as well. I know it's going to be like college. It's going to be very cool, really. I mean, if anybody is mad at this rule, it's really just because they're too stuck in the ways. Absolutely, because this doesn't hurt anybody. As long as the referees can, do their jobs as far as knowing who is who, we're good to go. Okay? We are good to go. But that one's definitely entertaining, that's for sure. Because I think a lot of players are excited about that. Do not be surprised. Now, the catch with this one that I find very interesting is, I guess, manufacturers have already, done their job for the upcoming season and produced products. So if anybody plans on changing their number for this season, they have to buy out the merch. If they just plan on doing it next year for the 2022 season, they're good to go. But if they want to do it this year, they have to clear out the merch, which I think is crazy. And I think that no one's going to change their number this year unless they did it with the anticipation, which I don't think that was even possible if you're playing, specific positions like DB and stuff. But I will be surprised if I see somebody. I'm not going to lie. I'm going to be like, oh, snap, they did it. Okay. Next on the agenda is we have to talk about I don't want to say a GOAT. I mean, he wasn't the greatest of all time, but he was a solid. He was a legend. How about that? We have to talk about a legend. Alex Smith announces his retirement. Yes, if you've been following this guy for a long time, he's finally decided to hang it up, especially after we've seen him overcome so much unfamiliar for whatever reason. With Alex Smith, he did get drafted first overall. I'm talking about first round, first pick back in 2005, the good golden ages out of Utah. All right. Came in, got drafted by San Francisco, played for them for about, 7 years. Did okay there. I don't really know how bad it ended. I don't remember anybody talking about it, but he had his ups and downs, injuries, and missed, a few games here. But then he got his way to Kansas City. Definitely was known, for being in Kansas City through the teen years, 2013 through 2017 season. Played most of those games. Handled his business. Played with Andy Reid. And then he made his way to Washington, where he unfortunately had the terrible injury. He got back in November 2018. But the catch is he made a great comeback. After about close to 700 days, he made his debut back on the field on Washington this past season. So unfortunately, there wasn't enough people in the stands to really just, blow it up when he got on the field. But his family was there, which was sweet. He helped them, win their division, get into the playoffs. But yeah, he called retired. From what I hear, he did, well, from what he said, not even what we hear, he said he did have a meeting with the Jacksonville Jaguars, which, Urban Meyer was his coach back in college, so he got to meet with him, and he was super excited when leaving there about a possible opportunity to go there and play. But he said he was kind of ready because he was already leaning toward retirement. My speculation, which, I don't do much of that on this show because I'm not the people that's on TV just trying to get under people's skin. But I'm pretty sure Alex Smith has something else better lined up. That's possibly why he got an offer to work somewhere else. I don't know, either as an analyst or maybe even as a coach. I did read that Reed, his former coach, Andy Reid, did text him and was like, he has first dibs if Alex decides to get into coaching. So that's nice he has that. But hey, give y'all the final stats, man. Alex Smith, 174 games. He completed 3,250 passes, giving him a 62.6 completion rating for 35,650 yards. 199 touchdowns. Dang, he should have just got in through one more. And 109 interceptions. Okay. Salute to you. Great job. A great career. Happy I got to watch. All right. Someone else who announced their retirement. TJ Ward, the safety who last played in 2017 for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. But originally he was drafted second round 2010 out of Oregon to Cleveland. Played the Cleveland Browns for 4 years. Then he got on Denver Broncos for 3 years. Won a Super Bowl with them. Then he made his way to Tampa Bay before not playing for a while. And I guess, he's been enjoying his family life and decided to officially announce that he is no longer going to play football. Okay. His final stats: out of 107 games, he had 607 tackles. Okay, 8.5 sacks, 10 forced fumbles, 4 fumble recoveries, 8 interceptions, 3 touchdowns, 2 of those being returning touchdowns. Okay, so happy he gets to enjoy himself with his family. All right, and then the last retirement I want to put out there real quick is tight end Jordan Reed. Said he's retiring from the NFL because of lingering issues from multiple concussions suffered throughout his career, which he had some pretty notable ones with, guys really putting their helmet into him and ended up getting fined because that's how bad, those hits were. But Jordan Reed was drafted back in 2013 in the 3rd round to the Washington football team out of Florida. Out of his final stats being out of 75 games, he had 355 receptions for over 3,600 yards, 28 touchdowns. Okay, so salute to him. I mean, it's bittersweet when it comes to football retirement, man, because it's like you want to see people keep doing it, especially people that you enjoy watch play, people that might play for teams that you love. Absolutely, but at the same time, you kind of know, that's why you always see people say, good luck on your next, whatever you got next, because there's always something next, as long as that's the plan. And we get to see them, be with their family. These players miss so much time with their family. They miss so many years, but excited about that, right? It's bittersweet. Okay, the Steelers announced. This isn't a surprise, but the Steelers announced they signed head coach Mike Tomlin to a 3-year contract. All right, it's an extension. If you're not familiar, Mike Tomlin, 49 years old. His record is 145 wins, 78 losses, 1 tie in his 14 years with the Steelers. That's a great record, okay? He has won 1 Super Bowl. He has lost 1 Super Bowl with them, so he took them to the Super Bowl twice. The franchise has reached the playoffs 9 times during Tomlin's tenure, and they've captured their 7th AFC North title just this past season. All right, so very successful coach. I'm a fan of Mike. I like seeing what he do there. I kind of, was a fan of the team, I guess you could say, but I really just liked Troy Polamalu and Ward and Gang, and then also I was kind of dating a girl who was a Steelers fan, so I might have been a little biased, but we just gonna keep that between us. But also, fun fact that Mike Tomlin is now, being that he's going to be there till 2024. If you haven't known, he is entering his 15th season with the Pittsburgh Steelers, and he's only their third head coach since 1969. So we know the Steelers have loyalty, especially the coaches that got them winning. But yeah, he's definitely looking forward to trying to get them another ring. And being that we're sure that Roethlisberger last year could be this year, if not for sure the year after, that Mike will be there through that transition when they move on to whoever's next. Okay. Shout out to him, though, man. Getting those extensions, seeing those black coaches be, in that position for that long is great. All right. Raiders sign former Eagles and Panthers cornerback Rasul Douglas. If you're not familiar with Rasul Douglas, he got drafted in 2017 in the third round out of West Virginia to the Philadelphia Eagles. He played with them from 2017 through 2019 season. Had a fairly decent career there. Then he went to Carolina Panthers, is who he played with this past season. Way his stats look is out of 60 games he's played those 4 seasons, he has 180 total tackles. Okay, no sacks, forced fumbles, anything like that, but he has 5 interceptions. So, is it a big pickup? Debatable. Just somebody that they need that has experience. That's what I'm thinking they're going for here. Okay. Now, before I say the next one, I want to say the media is very interesting. I don't see myself as the media. I don't know if you guys see me like that, but I don't think I'm the media. But what's so entertaining about them is they pick in downtime, they pick the most interesting things to report about, or at least the way they present them. So what happened is, what I'm about to say is somebody else that got signed is, in case you didn't know, Ryan Griffin got signed, guys. Re-signed. Everybody's like, Ryan Griffin who? I know there's multiple Ryan Griffins. I understand. That's why you don't know him, right? The quarterback who? Who? DJ, stop playing with us. Who is quarterback Ryan Griffin? I'm talking about for the Bucks, and the reason I started off by talking about the media is because Ryan Griffin, who, I don't even know where he came from because it says his experience that he's in his 7th season, but it only shows that he only played 1 season, which is the 2 games in 2019 with the Bucks, where he had 2 completions on 4 attempts for 18 yards. I don't know, but what the media said was, this is the guy that is famous for the video of him carrying Tom Brady out after the boat party after they won the Super Bowl. Yeah, the guy that was holding both Tom Brady's arms when he was just talking about just a little avocado tequila. That's who Ryan Griffin is. I know, right? I didn't know that. I didn't know who the guy was. I thought he was like especially with his polo and Tampa Bay hat on, I thought he was like somebody on the administration. But that's who it is, okay? Just to clear that up. Okay, the 49ers have signed former Giants running back Wayne Gallum. Wayne Gallum is the guy who took over for Saquon last year after he got injured off the field. So they got to have a good look at him. He got drafted 2017, 4th round out of Clemson. So it was 4 seasons with the Giants. He had 53 games he played. He rushed for 1,444 yards and 9 touchdowns. Okay, his biggest season being this last one. Got 682 of those yards. Okay, got some receiving ones too, where he also adds 2 more touchdowns on some receiving touchdowns. But that's who Wayne Gallum is. All right, wrapping this up. 2 quick things. Former Cowboy, now Seattle Seahawks defensive end Aldon Smith turned himself in on Tuesday night after a warrant was issued for his arrest in the connection with an alleged battery in New Orleans. Remember, I reported about that. He was booked and released by Wednesday on a $25,000 bond. He's scheduled to be in court on July 14th. All right. Next, Antonio Brown has resolved a civil dispute with his former trainer, Brittany Taylor. So that was one of those, people that was suing him for all kind of stuff like that. That was back in 2019. She accused him of sexual assault. A settlement was reached, but of course, as usual, per the agreement, no terms can be disclosed. So that's all the info we got on that. We just know he's good. Apparently they were friends, so they're in a good place, and she decided that, they're good. All right. But that's the new news. All right. Next, we're going to talk about these DBs, man. I'm about to give y'all the top 20 DBs. All 20 of them can hold receivers to nothing, or at least hold them to where it's the toughest game of their life. All 20 of these guys are solid individuals, and they got a great stat line. So stay tuned. That's coming up next.
Are you looking for help for your fantasy football team? Check out the GSMC Fantasy Football Podcast. Get today's best advice on who to start, who to sit, even who you should draft. From sleeper picks to red hot lineups, they got it all covered for you. That's GSMCpodcast.com/fantasy-football-podcast. We'll cover traditional leagues, dynasty, PPR, even IDP leagues. When you need fantasy help, there's just one show to hit up. Don't forget to like them on Facebook and follow them on Twitter. Visit GSMCpodcast.com for more info.
Welcome back, ladies and gents. All right, first segment done. New news in. You got the information here, and now it's time for the next segment where I'm going to give you the top 20. Yes, not top 10, not 20, and then just the first 10, and then the second. I'm about to give you the top 20 DBs. Now, it is going to be split up between segments, but you get it all here right now in this episode. All right, that way you can follow along all the way through, have your list ready. Matter of fact, you can pause it right now, and then when you come back, then you can discuss with your friends or with yourself about how much you agree with me or think I'm completely wrong. Now, I know I always say this. You already know what I'm about to say. I always say when I do these that these can be arranged so many different ways. I don't ever take a hard fact on a lot of the positions I put certain people in, but what I want to say about this one specifically is when I say that statement about these guys could be put in so many different ways depending on the metrics, I mean that the loudest here with the DBs, okay? Because you got to think about it. There's so many dependents. They're not really getting their, stat line or credit based off of everything they specifically make happen. Like, no, it's a lot of what happens on the opposite team's offense, where the ball goes. Because, think about it. If you're really good at what you do, half the time the offense game plan is to go away from you. So you don't get a chance to make much of a big play or contribution, but it's not all said and done. You still have the opportunity to, make things happen when it's your time. So these players are people who have had the opportunity to make a name for themselves and make a big splash, especially within the last couple years. All right. Now, the one I'm going to start off with, because, we start with number 20. This is somebody who really, got an opportunity literally and took advantage of it. Number 20 from the Cowboys, Trevon Diggs. I know, just got drafted last season. Got drafted in 2020, second round to Dallas out of Alabama. All right, that is known. So yes, there's only one season to go based off of DJ. Exactly. That's why he's number 20. Because he showed that he could easily be in the top 10 if he keeps up what he's doing. What did he do, you say? Well, he only played 12 games, okay? Shorter than 4. All right. Now, he played those 12 games. He got 1 sack, 1 forced fumble, 3 interceptions. All right. One more time. 1 sack, 1 forced fumble, 3 interceptions. That already right there says a lot for this kid. Good job, Mr. Diggs. But on top of that, he defended 14 passes. And I'm talking about like ball to receiver. He defended, deflected, knocked down, broke it up. It was on him that ball was not caught. All right. Impressive. All right. So that's just showing you just a little bit what he can do. You know, he has 58 total tackles, but that means he, still making his way to get to the ball. And 49 of those 58 are solo. Only 9 assisted with. Now, that's something else that you see is very rare. Usually, double digits is very easy. It could have definitely been something like 30-20. But no, 58 total, 49 solo, 9 assisted. All right. Trevon Diggs, number 20. All right. Going to number 19. This one might be a little controversial. All right. Malcolm Jenkins with the New Orleans Saints. So, yes. Is he down here because of what he has made accomplished or his age? I mean, it might be a little, the age part. Malcolm Jenkins is 33. He did get drafted in 2009. So, it's been a little while. But he was drafted in the first round. First round, number 14 pick to New Orleans out of Ohio State. So, that says a lot for him. That means he's been a dog. He got to play in New Orleans for 5 years before having to go play with the Eagles for 6. And now he's back in New Orleans. But his career is just, he's been doing this thing, man. So, I mean, just kind of give you an idea, even though he's 33 now, he still just in this past season had played all 16 games, which I think throughout his career he's only missed like 5 games, if that, maybe less altogether. But he has, I'm going to do last season, then I'm going to do his career stats thus far. So last season, he had 91 tackles, 2.5 sacks, a forced fumble with the fumble recovery, 3 interceptions, and 10 pass defenses. Okay, so boom, bam, baby, like that's already a solid, and it sounds even better when you hear that it came from a man of his age. Now, his career stats is out of 183 games, he has 964 total tackles, about to break 1,000, I'm sure, in this upcoming year. 20 forced fumbles, 11 fumble recoveries, 20 interceptions. I definitely think it could be higher, but solid. With 6 touchdowns, that's a plus, and 106 pass deflections. All right, Malcolm Jenkins, number 19, solid spot for him. But of course, he's a Hall of Famer at that too. All right, now somebody else that's up there in age and quite possibly a Hall of Famer is number 18, Joe Hayden with the Pittsburgh Steelers. Joe Hayden was drafted back in 2010, first round, 7th pick to Cleveland out of Florida. All right, giving you that history. He played with the Cleveland Browns for 7 seasons. 7 seasons. He, got his thing going on. He got a little injured at some point. I guess that might have something to do with why they let him get away to Pittsburgh. But at Pittsburgh, he's still handling his business, doing his thing. This past season, he played 14 games with 52 tackles. He didn't get any sacks. Again, guys, the DBs aren't supposed to be really getting the sacks unless they're used in that type of scheme, depending on the defensive coordinator. So, see, that's something else they got to depend on, is what kind of defensive coordinator they got. But he did get 2 interceptions, and he had 12 pass deflections. His total career, out of 146 games, he's had 577 tackles, 3 sacks, 6 forced fumbles, 5 of those fumbles recovered, 29 interceptions, 2 touchdowns, and 148 pass deflections. Joe Hayden is somebody that has definitely been having great coverage for so long, so that's why he's been a force to be reckoned with for quite some time. Despite the stats, he's, like I said at the beginning, he's one of those people that they're really not trying to put the ball around for good reasons. All right, or really not even have the ball go that way so that it doesn't just end up banged up. All right, number 17. Number 17 is Shaquille Griffin. All right, now playing with the Jacksonville Jaguars, formerly a Seattle Seahawk. He was drafted back in 2017 by the Seahawks in the 3rd round out of UCF. Good finesse that they got in there because he was a great product in Seattle while he was there. Out of his 57 games he played, because he didn't get to play a full season this past season, and he did miss about 2 games the season before that. But outside of that, he has had 1 sack, 249 tackles, 6 interceptions, and 48 pass deflections. Now, the impressive part here is that he's only been played 4 seasons and has that many pass defenses. Very aggressive kid, real quick. That's why he was able to find himself another home. All right. Now, this Shaquille is more of like a cornerback, maybe even on the slot sometimes. So, you got to also remember the difference between, I haven't been mentioning it, but the difference between, somebody that actually is playing on man, on the outside versus the inside versus playing safety in the back, all kind of contributes to, these different things that we're discussing. But Shaquille earned his spot for sure. Shout out to his brother too. Both of their stories are beautiful. If you haven't heard about them, just Google Griffin Brothers UCF and you will learn more. Okay, but everybody should know about them and their story for sure. Okay, number 16. Number 16 was just getting in some trouble with the law, but he's still a very good Pro Bowl cornerback. This is number 16, but he wears the number 23 out of New Orleans. Cornerback Marshawn Lattimore. Yes, Marshawn Lattimore, drafted back in 2017, 1st round, 11th pick out of OSU. Do you see a pattern? I think so. Okay, OSU got them boys. But his 4 years thus far with the New Orleans Saints have proven him to be an elite defensive back. Out of his 57 games, he has 230 total tackles. 190 of those are solo, only 40 assisted with. Okay, 5 forced fumbles, 3 of those recovered, 10 interceptions while scoring 1 touchdown, and the pass deflections are at 55. I think he's only going to get better, to be honest. You haven't even seen his best year yet. God forbid anything happening to him physically. You haven't seen him yet. And I'm literally only 3 days older than him. All right? Shout out to the Tauruses out there. Okay. That is number 16. Number 15. Number 15 is Bryce Callahan. Bryce Callahan, the cornerback for the Denver Broncos, did not get drafted, but this is his 6th season out of Rice. Shout out to Rice. I did intern there. Okay, so this is somebody that got to finesse themselves into the NFL based off of their pure talent. Love to see that. Okay, no hype behind him. He got in there. He got to Chicago. I believe he was a little banged up. They weren't really playing him too much. He only got to play 9 games, but then they started picking it up as the years went on. Got to be a part of it. But the thing is, he's really just gotten better and better on his coverage. This is one of those main people that quarterbacks and offensive coordinators avoid. All right, his coverage skills on snaps, the amount of time he played, gives him slight advantage. All right. So out of 55 games, he has 165 tackles, 4 sacks, forced fumble, a fumble recovery, 6 interceptions, and 25 pass deflections. I know, not all that impressive, but this guy is somebody that jumps off on film. Okay, this is somebody that does his job, somebody that is hard to get away from when you're, when the receivers are trying to get open, which is why, he's wanted so highly within, the defensive back market. Okay. All right. Number 14. Number 14 is Adrian Amos. Adrian Amos is the safety for Green Bay Packers. And let me just say, as we continue here, you're going to hear some players that are on the same team, and that just tells you why those teams are not the ones that are getting scored on a lot. If you go look at the rankings, you will see. But yes, Adrian Amos, he got drafted back in 2015 in the 5th round, a little finesse pick out of Penn State to Chicago. Chicago had him and was playing him from the jump. Good job. His first season was a little not much happened. He had 6-7 tackles. But in total, with it, before he went to Green Bay in 2019, he still handled his business. But in total, it's 4 seasons with Chicago, 2 seasons thus far with Green Bay. Those 92 games, he has had 441 tackles, 5 sacks, 3 forced fumbles, 4 fumble recoveries, 7 interceptions, and 35 pass deflections. Real strong guy, man. Impressive. Fits well in that system over there. Not gonna lie, they had one weak link that caused them to, lose the game, but we're not gonna go there. I'm gonna tell you about their strongest link later on, though. If you pay attention to football, you know exactly what I'm talking about, and you probably really are curious of where I have him, aren't you? I know how this works. You're thinking about it. I'm not going to say his name, because if you don't know, then I just want you to wander just a little bit longer. All right? All right. But moving on, man, going over to number 13. Number 13 on this list is somebody that, I don't know, man. This guy here is cool. He's collected. He handles his business. He has a great smile. That's something I noticed. But he is possibly on his way to being the number 1 best defensive back on this team, not in the league, but he's definitely going to be moving toward the top soon. I believe in him. Number 44 for the Baltimore Ravens, Marlon Humphrey. Marlon Humphrey was drafted in 2017. A lot of these guys, as you can see, you see when prime time is, right? Do you see when prime time is? You see it, right? It's literally my generation, okay? These guys came out a little early, look like, we're all right on the same age, as you can see. But yeah, it came out 2017, first round, 16 pick to Baltimore out of Alabama. Alabama's the other school that's producing. OSU, Alabama, OSU, you get it. Otherwise, you see it other people like, a little Notre Dame, you get a little Georgia, you get some Florida State. But the main ones, Alabama, producing them, OSU, getting them out the door. But Marlon Humphrey has been with the Baltimore Ravens since he came in the league. His 4th season he's played with them, he has been starting, handling it up, and throughout this career so far. Well, actually, let's just highlight this last season this young man has had, So, 82 tackles, well above more than he's had any other season. All right, that's one. 2.5 sacks. He has never had a sack until this season. 8 forced fumbles. The only closest to that he had before that was 2. He had 2 in 2019. All right, he was just going off, man. It just was unbelievable. All right, so just to give you his career stats out of the 4 years, out of 61 games, he has had 218 total tackles, which I said 82 of those were just this past season. 2.5 sacks just this past season. 11 forced fumbles, 3 fumble recoveries, 8 interceptions, and 51 pass deflections. The average, I believe, is like 8 when it comes to pass deflections a year. So that says he's only supposed to technically have like 32. But he has 51 because he has over 10 each season he's been in the league. So they're getting the bang for their buck. Absolutely. Good job, Baltimore, picking that guy up. Number 12. Number 12 plays for the Patriots. I know there's somebody that may come to mind, but it's not that person. I know you may believe that there's nobody else that could be on this list that it could be, but that is false information. Okay? Now, number 12 is no other than J.C. Jackson. All right. Undrafted, out of Maryland, been in the league for 3 seasons. Flies under the radar. Real quiet guy. You don't hear much about him. Why? I don't know. Maybe because he was playing for the Patriots, who were terrible this past season. I take that back. I'm sorry, Bill. Don't come for me. Y'all weren't terrible. But y'all weren't where y'all have been. But this kid here, man. Hey, look. I'm going to do like I just did the last one. I'm going to just give you his last season, this past 2020 season stats, and then we'll talk about what he's done for the 3 years he's been in the league. Okay, last season he played all 16 games, had 40 total tackles. Nothing crazy, good enough though. All right, 2 fumble recoveries, mean he's getting to the ball. I like to see that. But more importantly, he had 9. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 interceptions. Okay, this man. Just the ball's in the air and he just wants to go get it. 9 interceptions in 1 season, guys. And on top of that, he still had 14 pass defenses. Putting him up there, man. Really putting him up there. To say he barely played his first season, barely got much done, even though he still had 3 interceptions that season. Man, this man has played in 45 games, had 100 tackles, 2 fumble recoveries, like I mentioned, this past season. 17 interceptions and 30 pass deflections. 17 interceptions in 3 seasons, guys. All right, look, J.C. Jackson, kudos to you, my brother. All right, and last but not least for this segment, number 11, a name that has been around in households, heard around the world for at least a few years because of what he did. Cornerback who now plays for the Arizona Cardinals, Malcolm Butler. Yes, Super Bowl winning Malcolm Butler, that is. Played the 4 seasons that he did with the New England Patriots, which is where he got that ring at. And then he also lost one because a certain Bill Belichick wouldn't put him in the game. Apparently he got in some little bits of trouble. But he played with Tennessee, man. And he still was balling in Tennessee. He has a number that is pretty crazy on here, and you probably can't guess what that is. That is, I'm looking through the past season, when he played these 16 games in 2020 with Tennessee, he ended up racking up 100 total tackles. 100 as a DB. Okay? Like I said, the people run anywhere, they got one job. That means he's catching receivers, running backs, quarterback, whoever has the ball, he's there. And he's stopping them. All right? 100. But throughout his career, with his 7 seasons in the league, he's played 100 games, got 406 tackles, 100 of them coming from this past season, 3 sacks, 5 forced fumbles, 2 fumble recoveries, 17 interceptions, which that tells you a lot about JC. 17 interceptions and 83 pass deflections. Not mentioning 2 touchdowns that he got. But hey, this is always the regular season stats, man. There's always much more to it than that. He also has, like, just speaking on him, I didn't talk about this with everybody else, but he has a return touchdown. He has 1 returning touchdown when he was doing some returns with Tennessee in 2018, 2019. 1-1. Okay? So, he's versatile, as you can see. Alright? But that's all I got for now. Hey, stay tuned. It's going to be a couple minutes. We're going to take a quick commercial break. Come right back, and I will give you the top 10 defensive backs. Alright? So, stay tuned.
Tired of searching the vast jungle of podcasts? Now listen close and hear this out. There's a podcast network that covers just about everything that you've been searching. Hey! The Golden State Media Concepts Podcast Network is here. Nothing less than a podcast bliss with endless hours of podcast coverage. From news, sports, music, fashion, cooking, entertainment, fantasy, football, and so much more. So stop lurking around and go straight out to the Golden State Media Concepts Podcast Network. Guaranteed to fill that podcast itch. Whatever it may be. Visit us at www.gsmcpodcast.com. Follow us on Facebook and Twitter, and download us on iTunes, SoundCloud, and Google Play.
Okay, welcome back. Hopefully you were patient enough to, stay tuned so you can get these top 10 defensive backs in the league. Safeties, cornerbacks, they're here. I feel like, it almost feels like sometimes safeties have the upper hand as far as, stat-wise. They get to see more from where they're, standing and able to get to the ball quicker, get the tackles in, get the interceptions and stuff. But cornerbacks, we all know, are the more flashy. They get the most talking in and getting in the news more, stuff like that, and saying they shut somebody down this. And you know how it go, all right? But these individuals have definitely earned their mark, regardless if they are just the biggest trash talkers and back it up, or, if they're a quiet storm and just put up big time numbers. Either way, these are the top 10 individuals that receivers really have to prepare for season in and out, game in and out. Hopefully not too many of these people are in your division. Some of these guys do cross divisions, meaning they're in, multiple of them are in the same division. So if you're on a team that's don't have one of these guys, I'm sorry. I apologize. But here we go. Number 10, Harrison Smith. Harrison Smith is a very unique individual. All right. Harrison Smith was drafted back in 2012 in the first round out of Notre Dame. Okay. So I believe that's our first Notre Dame thus far, right? But he has came in a big way. Now, I don't know why, but I've also seen a trend of when guys first season with the team, they somehow be scoring, man. These rookies be out here doing their thing. But Harrison had, and I say that because he had 2 touchdowns his first year, but I've noticed that with a few others. All right, so just this past season, Harrison had, out of the 16 games he played all season, he had 89 tackles, a half a sack, so he participated in a sack. 5 interceptions just in this season, which is the most he ever had. He did 5 2 other times, but yeah, he got 5 interceptions again, okay, and 10 pass deflections. But out of his entire career, been in the league almost a decade now, out of 130 games, he's made 748 tackles, 13 and a half sacks, 7 forced fumbles, 7 fumble recoveries, 28 interceptions, 4 touchdowns, and 67 pass deflections. Okay, Harrison is not weak on boys out here. He gets there. He gets the job done. All right. This next guy, somebody has great hands, great cover skills, plays safety. So like I said, is in the catbird seat when it comes to being able to make moves and get places. And I'll tell you why I say that. But number 9 on my list is John Johnson III. John Johnson III plays for the Cleveland Browns, but he was drafted back in 2017 by the Rams in the 3rd round out of Boston College. All right, that's the first for Boston College. They don't have too many guys out here on my list, but shout out to them. So since 2017, and still counting what he did with the 6 games he played in 2019, because he still did pretty good, getting 51 tackles and 2 interceptions in 6 games. But he's played a total of 54 games, for the 4 seasons he's been in here. This past season, he had 105 tackles. In 2018, he had 119 tackles. So, adding the 51, and then his first year, he had 75. That's 350 total tackles. All right. No sacks, 1 forced fumble, 8 interceptions, and 32 pass deflections. This is a guy who's on here mainly because he knows where to be, makes the quarterback change their mind, makes them make mistakes. He's where he's supposed to be. Still young, only 25. That's why the Rams defense is so brutal. That's why it was so crucial in number 1 this past season, which they have another player on this list, and they had a top player on my defensive lineman list. So you see why they've been so elite. But like I said, now he plays for the Browns. That was a finesse, but they got him. Okay. Moving on to numero ocho, number 8. Number 8 is one that I like a lot for the reasons a lot of people don't notice him. Okay? Because, again, this is somebody that is not doing everything so flashy, but he's doing his job almost better than anyone else. Okay? Number 8 is Carlton Davis. Plays for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Was drafted back in 2018 in the 2nd round out of Auburn. Again, look, man, these guys are doing it right. 3 seasons with the Bucs. He's played in 41 games. He has 168 tackles. On top of that, 2 forced fumbles, 2 fumble recoveries, 5 interceptions. He had 4 this past season. Okay, which he tried to run 1 back. And 41 pass deflections. Only in 3 seasons, guys. Remember I said the average is like maybe 8 or less. He has 41 in 3 seasons. He had 18 this past season, 19 season before. This guy is keeping the balls out of whoever he's holding hands. And that's his job. That's exactly what he's supposed to do. Okay? I like that. Now, I'm not going to lie to you guys. We're about to get into really, really fun territory because I guarantee you the next 7 guys, if you watch football, you know who I'm talking about. Or at least should. And if you don't know these guys, then you really don't watch football. And if you are trying to get into football and that's why you're listening to this, then you need to go research really everyone I'm talking about because all of these guys are elite players. But these next guys are either already legends or legends in the making. Okay? My top 7, which is really the crucial end. I'm not going to lie. This is the crucial end. Not even just top 10. No, my top 7. All right? Number 7. Been in the league for a little while. Not too long. He wears number 24 and plays for the Baltimore Ravens. Marcus Peters. Drafted back in 2015, the 1st round to Kansas City out of Washington. And yes, he was a beast at Washington. All right, Marcus Peters has been a name in households for a long time because of what he do, man. That's what he do. All right, this is also somebody that plays 2 different positions. He's also a returner. Okay, let's talk about his time. All right, so he got drafted to Kansas City, did his time there, ended up having to go to the Rams, did great there, but then only played a little bit back in 2019. So he ended up coming to Baltimore, and he's still making things happen for them there. All right, this past season he played 14 games, and he had 4 forced fumbles, a sack, 4 interceptions, 9 pass defenses. Okay, cool. Let me tell you about his first year. Back in 2015, 60 total tackles, a forced fumble, 8 interceptions, 2 touchdowns, and 26 pass defenses. Do you see what I'm talking about here? Are you understanding? Have you been seeing the trend? Have you You see where we're going with this. You see why these guys are ranked where they're ranked. Okay? Total career so far, 91 games played, 300 tackles made, 1 sack, 10 forced fumbles, 8 fumble recoveries, 31 interceptions, 6 touchdowns. Okay? Again, this is just regular season. 86 pass deflection. That's all regular season, all right? And only at that position. All right? Now, let's also talk about regular season on the returns. He has 2 returning touchdowns. So, he had 2 returning touchdowns his rookie year. Then 1 every year in between then and 2019, where 2019 he had 2. So he didn't return this past season in 2020, but from 2015 to 2019, all right. Oh, mind you, he moved from the Rams to Baltimore mid 2019 season. So he had 1 with the Rams and 2 with Baltimore, giving him 3 total for the season, but 2 with them in that season. So, like, think about his rookie year, bro. His rookie year, he had 2 touchdowns on defense, 2 touchdowns on returning. This is a defensive player that had 4 touchdowns in 1 season, going off. He accounted for 42 total points in his career thus far. Okay? Crazy. I know. Alright. That was number 7. Getting to number 6. Number 6 is the most verbal cornerback in the game. Yes, I know that gave it away. So, I'm going to just wait to say his name just in case you don't know. But I'll give you the facts. Drafted in 2016. First round. 5th pick out of Florida State to Jacksonville. Yep. In case you forgot he played for Jacksonville. Jalen Ramsey. Jalen Ramsey has been a very animated young man. Enjoy watching him anytime he's talking to the press or anything like that. But before getting to the Rams and only getting to play a little bit in 2019, splitting the games and stuff like that before they sent them off, and then came to the Rams to play the full season in 2020. He's been locking receivers up. Okay. The ball doesn't go towards Jalen Ramsey often. Why? Because we know who Jalen Ramsey is. You see what he's capable of. Okay? He makes it happen. He's played 75 games. He has 287 tackles. He has 3 forced fumbles, 11 interceptions, 1 touchdown. I mean, the other ones he tried to get touchdowns. They just didn't make it that far. But he got 1 touchdown and 58 pass deflections. Again, nothing too crazy on that end. Not at all. It's just that he, is someone that we all know better than to throw it toward. If you're a quarterback, you know better. If you're a receiver, you know to come ready. We see those matchups all the time. Matter of fact, he be headlining some of the matchups. Sometimes it don't even be the quarterbacks, which are the main center of every team. And like, Tom Brady versus Jared Goff. Nope, not at all. This is about Jalen Ramsey versus whatever receiver on the Patriots wanted to see him at the time. Okay? Just to give you an idea. Jalen Ramsey holds his own. To be honest, it was hard to even know where exactly to put Jalen and not be disrespectful. So, I felt like 6 would work. If you don't agree, then, make your own list, buddy. All right. Top 5. What we got for the top 5? Top 5 are elite, man. All right. Number 5, Denzel Ward. Denzel Ward was drafted in 2018, first round, 4th overall pick to the Cleveland Browns out of none other than OSU. I told you. What I told you? OSU, Alabama, OSU. It's like they're in a little competition or something, right? I feel like it. But Denzel Ward, man, hey, I know I said a lot of these guys we're around the same age. I'm older than this guy. I got to give him his kudos, man. He's handling his business out there. 3 seasons with the Cleveland Browns. Haven't even played a full 16-game season. But the games he's played, he's made that impact. Okay, 37 total games, 143 total tackles, 2 forced fumbles, 3 fumble recoveries, 7 interceptions. This guy catches a ball every season. Okay, you'd love to see that from your DBs. One of them, he actually got to return and get back into the end zone for a touchdown. And then on top of that, for the 3 seasons, he has 40 pass deflections. Okay, 40, 18 just this past season. Great. We love to see it, Denzel. Denzel plays cornerback. He is up there on the receiver, getting at it. All right. Now we're about to get a little more flashy. Who we got for number 4? Number 4 is a guy who fought his way up here, man. I'm not going to lie. We saw how he was in college. He got nicknames. He got into some trouble. But he still was able to handle up and show out in this league to get himself a Super Bowl ring and all that comes with it. Okay? Number 32, but number 4 on my list, Tyrann Mathieu. Tyrann Mathieu plays for the Kansas City Chiefs right now. Okay? And they finessed that pickup. He was drafted back in 2013 in the 3rd round, right? Because of, like I said, some things that came about. But out of LSU, nicknamed the Honey Badger for what he did there. So, Arizona Cardinals went out there, grabbed the guy, had him for a solid 5 seasons. And he did good for them. Went on to the Texans, did really good for them. And then went on to Kansas City and did everything he needed to help them just move that needle. Just this past season, in the 15 games he played, he has 62 tackles, 6 interceptions, and 9 pass deflections. But that's not the highlight. The highlight is his career, man. Like I said, this guy overcame a lot. Out of 113 games he's got to play, he's made 533 tackles, 9 sacks, 4 forced fumbles, 2 fumble recoveries, 23 interceptions, 2 touchdowns, and 70 pass deflections. Yeah, the real deal, man. Aggressive, passionate. We've seen it. You've seen him get into it in Super Bowl. Tom Brady. All that smack talking that they were doing, but it was worth it. He got that experience. He got to go to Super Bowl back-to-back years. His first year with Kansas City, leaving Houston, which was a sad place for him. But getting out of there, getting to Kansas City, winning the Super Bowl's first year, I know that felt great. Then he got, to go back, get a chance. And to be honest, I don't know how long they're going to keep him, but he has a chance to go back for years on, man. And the more he goes, the more accolades he's going to add to this here stat line and easily become a Hall of Famer. So I'm rooting for him. That's for sure. Shout out to him. All right. Top 3. Holla at me. All right. Number 3 is safety here. It's a strong guy, man. Look, he's definitely regarded and highly ranked when it comes to coverage. This is somebody who has, I don't know what's better than, there should be something better than 20/20 vision, because he sees everything. He gets everywhere. He just makes quarterbacks have to second guess because they didn't see him coming. All right. He wears number 30. I got him as number 3 on the top DB list. Jesse Bates the third. All right. He was drafted back in 2018, 2nd round, 54th pick overall to Cincinnati out of Wake Forest. Shout out Wake Forest. I love seeing new schools on here. But he's played every single game since he's been in the league for the last 3 years. Out of those 48 games, he has 319 total tackles. Okay. 2 forced fumbles, 1 fumble recovery, 9 interceptions, a touchdown in his rookie year. I told y'all something about them rookie years be just I don't know, but he gets 3 interceptions each year, so at least you know you can count on him for 3. And then he has 31 pass deflections, 15 of them being in this last season. So if you ask me, this past season was his best season. It's third at that, so it's only getting better each and every single year. This guy is there, okay? And Cincinnati is definitely on its way to getting better as a whole, you know? At least that's what we're hoping. With their offense getting in the end zone some more, but it's going in the right place. The defense added some more pieces. Jesse Bates has you guys in good hands. The DB backbones, man, look, they're solid. They hold down the defense. Top 2. Who the top 2? Number 2, number 1. Number 1 could be number 2. Don't even really matter, but number 2 on my list, Jair Alexander, Green Bay Packers, drafted just in 2018 in the first round out of Louisville. He ain't been there that long, y'all, but the man is everywhere. He's unstoppable, or he's the most stoppable. How about that? Playing only in 44 games because he missed one this past season and then missed about 3 or so in his rookie year in 2018. But in his time, in his 44 games, he has 175 tackles. He has 1.5 sacks, 1 sack being this past season. He has 2 forced fumbles, 1 being this past season. 4 interceptions, only 1 this past season. And 41 pass deflections, having over 10 clearly for each of his 3 seasons. He just makes sure the ball stays out of people's hand. But more famously known, forget what he did in the regular season. Let's talk about the 2 interceptions he got in the playoff game against Tom Brady, making all the fans think that they had a chance. Oh, it was so close. Sorry to say it, but it didn't happen. It didn't happen, guys. They didn't win, but man, did he play a heck of a game, even though he had a teammate that was lacking over there. I mentioned earlier when I talked about his other teammate who made this list, there's somebody else on that team that wasn't coming close to this list. But Jair Alexander is definitely top 5. If he ever gets away from the Green Bay Packers, I'm telling you, this is going to be a guy that everybody wants to sign. Young, only 24. Hey, get at him because he's making moves, okay? And last but not least, if you have a list or if you watch football enough and you're surprised about a specific person whose name you have not heard thus far, this has to be him. You know it. Number 1 defensive back in the entire National Football League. He plays cornerback. He was drafted in 2016, second round. I combined that for some reason. Second round, 38th pick out of Baylor to the Miami Dolphins. Xavier Howard, man. Bro, Xavier Howard has been doing the fool. Especially this past season. I don't know what got into him. I don't know if somebody made a bet or promise to him if he did a certain thing. But look, he didn't get to play much in 2019. So I bet he just came back with a vengeance. Alright? Let's talk about this last year's stat line. Okay? Because that's where the impressiveness is. Okay? 16 games, 51 tackles. Oh, well, DJ, that's normal. Okay, yeah, I know. He ain't get no sacks. Oh, okay. Well, they shouldn't really have too many sacks. I know. 1 forced fumble. Oh, well, he could have did better than that. I know. 20 pass deflections. Oh, right. Averaging somewhere a little bit lower than 8. We're usually hearing about the most impressive people that's been on this list around the 15 area. He got 20. Wow. Okay. But that ain't even where it is, man. 10 interceptions. 1-0. 10 most interceptions in a season. Okay, this season. He was the number 1 leader in interceptions. He has 10. Went bonkers this season. I don't know what got into him. Better than, he didn't, when he got to play 12 games the season before last year. 2019 season where he didn't get to play much. He had 7. So it's like, we see what he's capable of. I understand why they paid him what they paid him. 56 games, 191 tackles, 1 sack, 2 forced fumbles, 1 fumble recovery, 22 interceptions, 10 of them being just this past season, 1 touchdown, 55 pass deflections. Xavier Howard, you are the most elite defensive back in the league. Keep up the good work, man. Shout out to all those guys. Like I said, man, this is the defensive. This is the defense's backbone, man. Like, if you don't got guys back there that can handle their own, teams are gonna throw it on you all day because we're a flashy, league. Everybody likes to ball out, get the scores high, get the receivers going, quarterbacks seeing their arms, stuff like that. So shout out to that. Also, please note that, like I said, Xavier Howard had the most interceptions this season, and he had the most pass deflections in this season with 20. So yeah, he's the best going into this upcoming season, not counting the rookies, man, as always. But that's all I got for you now. You got the top 20. You heard them. You either agree or you don't. Oh well, argue with somebody else. All right. Now, stay tuned. We're going to take a quick break and then get into the final segment. Be right back.
This is your ultimate stop for everything sports. The Golden State Media Concepts Sports Podcast. Should I say more? From the NFL, MLB, the NBA to MMA, it's all in here. The Golden State Media Concepts Sports Podcast. Listen now.
Welcome back. Thanks for your patience. Enjoying that fine break, man. Hey, by the way, that song, man, that's really my jam. I know y'all hear different ones throughout this entire time, but that's the one right there. But, hey, it's time for the last segment, man. It's time for us to wrap things up. Just go ahead and end the show so that we can, be excited for the next episode because I know you guys are going to miss me. All right? So, last topic of the day, finishing up what I started last episode. As I said, I'm giving a little insight into what you guys may need to bet on in the future. As sports betting is, legal in certain places, and, the NFL has partnered with a couple different platforms to bet on the games. So, as I said last episode, Cedars Williams Hill releases initial projections of win totals for each team for this upcoming season. So, ESPN, a lot of other analysis got together, basically said their thoughts on what the, Vegas basically is betting on each team to win for their over-under. You have the analysts give their over-under thoughts, and but I'm also giving mine. So I'm lacing you up, giving you the info you were looking for, as well as I'm going to share whatever they said too. So, kicking it off like the last episode, you got the AFC. This episode we are doing the NFC, all right? Starting off where we should, NFC East, because I know that's the one that most of you all are waiting for. That's the one you need the answers on. This is the one that for whatever reason, every team in this division, their fans bet on them every year. And when I say every year, I mean every year. Eagles won one the most recently. Before that, it was the Giants. Went in there too when Eli was there. And I'm talking about bowl games. I ain't even talking about just the division. And then before that, who knows? Cowboys ain't been in it since the 90s, man. Haven't even been to the conference championship since I think like 95, 96. So that kind of tells you how this division is. But, hey, don't sleep on them because as much as we're talking down on them, like I just said, you have Philly who just won not too long ago, a couple years back. I think, what was that, 2017? No, before that or after that. One or two. And then the New York Giants went in there 2 against Eli Manning won his 2 against New England and the GOAT Tom Brady, which Tom Brady it's just not fair. It's just not fair, man. It's like what? Before he won this year, go back 2 years, in those last 5 Super Bowls, he was in 4 of them and won 3. Right? And then he came and won this one. And it's just, who's going to stop that man? I don't know. All right. But hey, like I said, let's get started. NFC East, what are the predictions? The Cowboys over and under the wins that Vegas said they should get, 9.5. 9.5, I think, is playing it super safe, being that the Cowboys is a team known for going 8-8. Of course, like I said before, they could go 8-8 this year because 17 games, but they didn't go 8-8 last season. They came in third, 6-10, which was tied with the Giants at 6-10. And guess what? The division winner, the Washington football team, went 7-9. And then Philly came in last at 4-11. But they've had their woes switching over. But yeah, the Cowboys. Cowboys is a team of just, you don't know what to say. Why? Because they look so amazing on paper. There was plenty of people out. I know I was making fun of Cowboy fans just a second ago, but there were plenty of people out there that thought they had a solid chance of winning a lot more this past season, just based off what they had on paper. With them drafting CeeDee Lamb and looking at that offense that they had, granted, they did have a hiccup with the quarterback injury, but he'll be coming back. But yeah, just, they're hard to depend on, knowing that they had so many weapons and didn't do much with it. They have plenty of health concerns. I mean, like I just said, Dak got injured last year, so we really don't know where he's at now or how it's going to proceed in the future. But then, their O-line, Tyron Smith, Zach Martin, Lyle Collins, Blake Jarwin, tight end, plus the defense. Those are the health concerns. Then on the defense, they just needed so much improvement. They're on, their third defensive coordinator now. With the talent that's on the defense, what's going to happen? Is Dan Quinn going to make that difference, or is Dan Quinn going to prove that it's the talent? Anyways, my prediction, I'm going to give him benefit of the doubt, and I promise you, Dallas, if you let me down, Dallas, I don't know if I'll ever trust you again. Well, actually, yeah, you know what? I'm going to have faith. I'm going to say, and I shouldn't say this, really, we already know how this is going to go just because I'm even saying this. I'm going to say over, which means you're going to go under just because I just said that. Here, live and recorded, that's what's going to happen. So I'm saying they go 10. Well, 9.5 is 10. So I say they go 11. I say they go to 11. Means they have a really good season, which definitely means they win this division. Which means they go to the playoffs. I don't know what's going to happen in the playoffs, but I give them this division. Not with a lot of confidence, but I do. The analysts for them said under slightly. So I guess not by much. Maybe they meant 9. But like I said, they're the ones to take the division on my end. That's how I see it. New York Giants, they're tied competitive last season. Their over-under winning number is 7. This is really sad that this division is so low with these numbers, but it's reality. So they're adding, Saquon back. Hopefully he's fully healthy. They got Kenny Golladay. That's a pickup. And then, hopefully Daniel Jones is coming back healthy. With that, I mean, is it enough? I'm thinking too hard. We're not even talking about how far they go. We're talking about these numbers right here. So 7. New York Giants go 7. I say they go 7 even, which is, equivalent to what they did this year. It'll just be adding the game. So 7-10 is what they go on their record. Okay. Yeah, I think they could do better, but I'm going to say even. I'm going to keep them there just because I already put too much faith in one of the teams already, and I just can't embarrass myself like that. So I'm saying even at 7, they're predicted to go over by their analysts. Okay. And again, it's not too far-fetched. I mean, their offense scored, second fewest per game with 17.5 in the NFL last season, but they were missing their star running back. Their quarterback was gone, so, and we saw what Saquon was doing before he was gone. So I mean, I got faith in Saquon if no one else. That's for sure. Okay, Philadelphia Eagles, the sad one in the bunch from last season, but hey, like I said, they figured out what they did with Carson Wentz. They got Jalen Hurts in there full time now. He's projected to start at least. And, I mean, we saw him, do some pretty nice things out there on the field. He wasn't perfect, but he was learning. And it was well-versed to see that this team, if coached properly, can do something with it. So, with that being said, need to definitely see how it ends, who they draft, of course, after they didn't move to the draft, who they draft, and what type of preseason looks that they get. I'm going to say they go over. So Philly goes over 7. They're predicted to go over 7. Okay, so we're in agreement, even though I've been against the grain these last two, right? Yep, okay. So that's that one. And the last one in the division, who was the team that actually won the division and went to the playoffs last season. They have an over-under projection of 8 wins. I can give them 8. I mean, we got a new little setup there. I mean, you got Ryan Fitzpatrick. They added Curtis Samuel. They also added a tight end, so that could be a dual use. Upgraded at corner with William Jackson. I think they made some decent moves. That I don't think it's perfect yet. They may need a few more, but I really like what their defense look like. So being that I like their defense, and I betted on them a little too much to win last season though, so I know better than that. I'll give them. Actually, I'm going to give them under. I can't. Being that I've already put too much faith in the NFC East with the numbers I've given you guys, I have to go under. I have to go against the grain because they're predicted to go over slightly. But that's just the truth of the matter is somebody in the NFC can't just be that good next season after being this bad, no matter what moves they make. And it's like I said, this division is so unpredictable. Nope. Not going to fall for it, buddy. Okay. Who next? NFC North. All right. This one is a bit complicated, I guess. All right. Now, NFC North, Chicago Bears. Well, you know what? Let me tell you this, how they ended last season. It was easy because Green Bay was such a powerhouse with Aaron Rodgers that it makes sense that, that's the team they come in first. They went 13-3. They only lost one game in their division. The rest of the pack was like just kind of there, not much competition for too many people, but definitely not in their division against Green Bay. You got the Chicago Bears going number 2 in that division, 8-8. Then Minnesota just right underneath them at 7-9. Then right underneath them is Detroit, 5-11. Okay, so that's how it ended last season. All these teams made a few moves during this time away, this time off. But, I mean, you got Green Bay who killed the league in offensive yards. They ended in the top 5. So, clearly, I'm going to really be leaning towards them doing the same thing again next season. I mean, Aaron Rodgers was the MVP for a reason. It was very obvious. There was no question marks at all. I don't know if it was unanimous, but it should have been if it wasn't. Okay? Now, let's talk about this over and under. They got Chicago Bears going 7.5, so winning at least 8 games. It's a lot of faith if you ask me. Like I said, they did just go 8-8, but I mean, what did they do lately that just made you go, oh, you know, they got Andy Dalton. That did make me say, well, matter of fact, if you paid attention to a couple episodes back when I did Fun Facts, their chances of winning the Super Bowl actually went down when they signed Andy Dalton, which is sad. You'd hate to hear that stat if you were Andy Dalton. They still got Khalil Mack, Akeem Hicks, Raquan Smith. So defense, solid. You know, they did lose Kyle Fuller, though. You know, a cap casualty, I guess. So, again, this is another team that you're going to have to watch closely on what they do in the draft and beyond. Because as of right now, I am picking under. So, yes, I think they'll have a worse record than they did last season. I actually think they were in better hands with Mitchell Trubisky or Nick Foles instead of Andy Dalton. So, I think that hurt their chances. They are predicted to go under, so up on the same page yet again. Detroit Lions over under at 5. It's sad. I think that's the lowest one thus far. They got rid of Matthew Stafford for Jared Goff is really just the main thing, and they got a lot of picks out of it, so maybe they're like on a rebuild, trying to see what they're gonna do with some young guys. They even have a rookie head coach in Dan Campbell. So it's hard to even discuss this team at all, not knowing what they're going to be. So my guess is that they are even at 5. I say they go 5 again. Prediction says over. Somebody has high faith in them. It isn't me. Green Bay, this one's easy. I kind of already told you how I feel about them. We already know what they're dealing with over there. Their over-under is 11. Out of 17 games, I pick over. There's nothing much changing over there. It doesn't need to. They still got the playmakers they have. They still have the defense that they've had. The only thing stood in their way was the Chiefs, right? So, yeah, over predicted to go over. So, same page. Minnesota Vikings, over under is 8.5. Okay. That one is... Okay, so free agency, they did a little bit. They got Dalvin Thomas. They got Michael Pierce. They got Patrick Peterson, Xavier Woods, Mackenzie Alexander. I do like some of those names. I do like seeing what they got there. But the truth is, what's my confidence in? I mean... They were above, actually. I just bragged on Green Bay about, you know, killing it in offensive yards a game, but Minnesota actually did better. You know, Minnesota was actually number 4 on that top 5 list. So, I kind of got to give it to say that, like, they're going to put the yards up. And if anybody's going to compete with Green Bay for this, you know, winning position of the division, it's Minnesota. Which usually is supposed to have always been Minnesota. I just don't know what was happening to them last season. But giving them over under of 8.5, I will take the over, not by much. I'm thinking somewhere in the 9. Like, okay, if it's 8.5, then yeah, I guess it's even at 9, or I'll give them up to 10. All right, I'll take the over regardless. They're predicted to go over, but barely. That's what it says. All right. NFC South. NFC South's a good one. NFC South is just had some dramatic changes. Took a big change last season. That's just taking in Tom Brady. Now that he's the Super Bowl champ yet again, bringing a ring to that division, but to Tampa Bay specifically, and them being able to retain their entire team says a lot. New Orleans Saints, Drew Brees retiring. That's a different, and they just literally swept Tampa Bay in the regular season before losing to them in the playoffs. Carolina Panthers have their woes after losing Cam Newton. Atlanta Falcons couldn't catch a break. Couldn't catch a break. But the way that division came out is New Orleans actually won the division 12-4. Tampa Bay came right behind them in second, 11-5. Carolina Panthers went 5-11, and Atlanta Falcons went 4-12. So you see a pretty good big gap between the top two and bottom two teams, obviously. Now, it's hard to say, and I know this is common because I keep saying it, but I'm not like those analysts on TV who just act like they know everything they're talking about because they know we're not going to remember when something specific happens, and it's like, didn't they say this wasn't going to happen? But New Orleans Saints, I mean, you still got Sean Payton handling business out there. They still have great talent, but Drew Brees was elite. We know that. Drew Brees was a quarterback that the only thing kept him from being, possibly staying in conversations about being the GOAT is being here during the Tom Brady era. Tom Brady versus Peyton Manning era. I'm sure y'all have heard that a few times, that, that's why we see Drew Brees the way we see him. But, of course, he deserves all his flowers. He is GOATed, in case anyone else didn't know that. But that's just me talking about that division. So who I think is going to win, obviously, is going to be Tampa Bay again. But starting off with Atlanta, who's at the bottom. Their over-under is 7. I say, depending on what changes they make, because it was really their defense that was killing them. Julio was out, but how much can you count on one guy? They got a high draft pick. We'll see who they pick. Giving them 7 games. I'll give them 7 games. I say they do better. They win 3 more games than they did. Okay? They're predicted to be even at 7 by their analysts. Carolina Panthers going up. Okay, 7.5. Ooh, I say that's quite a bit of faith. Carolina's not high enough, in my opinion, currently to get what I would believe would be a game-changing quarterback, which, thought they would need. But they do got Sam Darnold. Why they go get Sam Darnold? I don't know. I don't know how will he be. Christian McCaffrey's coming back, which I like Christian McCaffrey a lot. So my faith is also in Christian McCaffrey, if anything, to have these guys here. But I'm going to have to pick the under. Somebody has to be the losing team here in this division. And I think it will be them, unfortunately. Sorry, Christian. Picking the under. They're predicted to go over. So, somebody has faith in Sam Darnold. New Orleans Saints, who, like I said, Drew Brees retired, but, we're just not going to just diminish the team like that just because he's gone. It's still New Orleans. You still got to play them in that dome. Jameis Winston and Taysom Hill are quarterbacks in the NFL, so that says something for their name. And they, still got some great talents as long as everybody come back healthy. They got weapons on offense and defense to keep the games tight. Over and under at 9.5. I give them the even. I say they win 2. Or do I want to go? Yeah, I say they win 10. I'll give you guys 10 games. All right. They're also predicted by the analysts to go over. So even over. And then Tampa Bay, like I said, the team I expect to win this. Their over-under is 11.5. I'm really not sure why it's that low. I don't know what Vegas was thinking. I guess they said everybody's coming for them this season. They got a target on their back. It's not like last season. I get it. I understand. That makes sense. But, again, it's so hard to, just be against Tom Brady, and more so a system that just had some great talent that all stayed, even if it's just for 1-year contracts. So I don't think and Tom Brady's done it so many times, I don't think he's going to let them sleep. Okay? Drew Brees is not stopping them during the regular season. So, over. And they're predicted to go over. So, makes sense. And last but not least, the NFC West. NFC West likes to play tug-of-war games. The way they ended last season, you had Seattle Seahawks winning the division 12-4. Started off real well, got a little shaky in the middle of the season, but they still won it 12-4. Los Angeles Rams tried to make a comeback in there toward the end of the season to get in there at 10-6. And then we have the Cardinals 8-8, and the 49ers 6-10. What's crazy about this one is this is the division that I believe that all the teams actually do just get better. But, of course, there's a limit, right? We're talking about two teams that had double-digit wins. So, like, how much better is, could they be without me basically saying that they all are playoff contenders, all right? So, we have the Arizona Cardinals, whose over or under is 8. If you've heard me speak on here before, I have told you guys that I really like the Cardinals. I have, to give my respect to Kyler Murray. He's made me respect him. Okay. Their defense is only getting more and more aggressive. They just acquired J.J. Watt. And they literally led, in the season. They tied for 4th last season in sacks. Okay. And like I said, when you got somebody like Kyler Murray, D-Hop, AJ, they're going to be in the end zone. Okay. I'll give them over. I don't think they're going to go 8-8 again. So you get the over. Okay. I expect great things from you. Oh, and they got James Conner. Oh, yeah. Yep. All right, and I'm predicted to go over. Los Angeles Rams, defense of reckoning. They just got Matthew Stafford on offense. They have the defensive player of the year in Aaron Donald, all-pro cornerback Jalen Ramsey. They signed Deshaun Jackson. Let's discuss how they did in the season. They number 1 in yards allowed on defense with 281 per game. They came above the Arizona Cardinals, coming in 2nd in sacks. I'm saying this to say, if offense ain't gonna win it, defense for sure gonna win it on Rams. That's what this team do. Okay, so went 10-6 last year. They're saying, they're looking around the same way. Say 10-5. Go for 11 wins. I'll give them that. Okay, I'll match you there with the 11. It's predicted to go over, but by a little. Okay. If that's what you say. Sure. Okay. And then San Francisco 49ers. San Francisco 49ers had some hiccups that we have talked about pretty much every time I brought up the 49ers, we talk about all of the sad injuries they had last season that just changed everything. But they made some big moves and pushed their way up the top of the draft. Everybody knows that they're probably leaning toward a quarterback. We're unclear on who they're more interested in out of Justin Fields and Trey Lance. But we believe that one of those two will be the starting quarterback for the 49ers next year. Or stand behind Garoppolo. But, again, we haven't heard much moves on what exactly will happen. But I think that will be what is going to be the answer for saying how they do this season for wins. Their over-under is 10. And like I said, they did nothing close to that last season. They'll be getting, players back healthy. They only won 6 games last season. I definitely think they're going to do better than 6. But will they do better than 10? No. Do not think they'll do better than 10. I think they go under, but slightly. I think they win 9. They win 9. It's predicted they go over, but barely. Somebody has faith. Okay. Seahawks is my last team. The team that just won. Russell Wilson. DK Metcalf. They've been doing their thing. They've been a solid team for many, many years, and for good reasons. Okay? They've averaged 10.3 wins per year in 16 game schedules, which is, what it's been for quite some time before it changes to 17. But I'm talking about over the past 6 seasons. Okay. The worst season that they had was the worst season in this stretch was a 9-7 finish in 2017. But that was a year that they had a lot of injuries. So, giving them that break, saying that they win 10 games, I think they're capable of 10 games. Out of 17, to be honest, I can give them at least one more, so I'm going to take the over. Okay, they also predicted the over. So, I think I did, I mean, me and the analysts are mostly on the same page as usual. But, hey, now, in case you didn't know, now you know. But I'm talking about for your bets, okay, guys? Go to Vegas, bet on what I said, over or under. But if you don't win, don't come looking for me. Don't leave any bad comments here. We only want good. Just kidding. I appreciate honest comments. That's all we have for you this episode. As always, thank you for listening to the GSMC Football Podcast, brought to you by the GSMC Podcast Network. I would like to ask you to please remember to subscribe to the show, write nice reviews, and it really helps us, especially being honest, telling me what you think, what things we can get better. Creative criticism is definitely open here. Also, if you can please follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, GSMC_football. I truly appreciate it, okay? You might get a personal tweet back if I see something I like. All right, but that's all. Thank you. Good night, good morning, good evening, whatever you are. Farewell. See you guys later.
You've been listening to the Golden State Media Concepts Football Podcast, part of the Golden State Media Concepts Podcast Network. You can find this show and others like it at www.gsmcpodcast.com. Download our podcast on iTunes, Stitcher, SoundCloud, and Google Play. Just type in GSMC to find all the shows from the Golden State Media Concepts Podcast Network, from movies to music, from sports to entertainment, and even weird news. You can also follow us on Twitter and on Facebook. Thank you, and we hope you have enjoyed today's program.